Welcome into Sports Memo's Betting Podcast, NFL Every Game on the Board with Robbie Veno. Rob, welcome into the pod. How are you?
I am great today, Drew. Another Friday as we head toward what I guess the college football world's been waiting for, Alabama LSU tomorrow.
Alabama LSU. We got a full NFL slate as well. Minty Bets broke down the top half of the card. We got Robbie Veno finishing it off. Baltimore at Cincinnati. First game up for this segment, 261, 262. 1 p.m. Eastern kick here, Robbie. We got minus 10.5. That's the Ravens laying on the road in Cincinnati with a total of 44.5.
Yeah, and we're going to get our first look at Ryan Finley as an NFL quarterback. Andy Dalton hits the bench. Ryan Finley takes over the reins. Cincinnati had a bye week, so he's had a couple of weeks with the first team to get some reps in. We'll see how that goes. Certainly the line is indicative of Ryan Finley being the quarterback here because you know what? They've played once already, Drew, and Cincinnati covered this game as an underdog in the same vicinity. They were getting 11 in Baltimore just 3 weeks ago. They lose 23-17. Now they're getting 10.5 and they're at home. But the difference is, of course, you get the backup quarterback now. So certainly the line is where it is. I think mostly predicated upon Ryan Finley starting here. It's tough to tell how well or how below average he'll perform in this game. Also tough to tell how the Ravens will react off of that huge win against New England. You know they put every ounce of effort into the 17-point win over the Patriots on Sunday Night Football last week. It was a big deal for them. You maybe would think of this as being a letdown spot for Baltimore, but the caution there would be that this is a divisional game. Baltimore can go to 3-1 in the AFC North, so certainly they'll be focused on getting the win. Whether or not it comes by 10.5 or more would, be the question. Obviously, the line, once again, the great equalizer. Since he has only lost by more than 10 points twice all season, so they're good at, staying within this range. Lost big to the 49ers, and they lost to the Rams by 14 in London in their most recent game. And that's a game that, I tell you what, for those who watched it, it was a little bit closer than that 24-10 would indicate because I think Cincinnati drove all the way to the Rams' 3-yard line, had first and goal at the end of that game, and 4 tries couldn't get in. So they very easily could have been within 10 points in that one, too. You add to that from a technical standpoint, Drew, that the Ravens are only 1-4 against the spread as favorites this season. So you can build a case for the Bengals. And again, it all hinges on how well Ryan Finley, that's what it all comes back to. Is Ryan Finley going to play well? Can the offensive line that's been banged up all year protect him? Will Baltimore come with the full focus that a divisional game usually brings? A.J. Green would have helped. If A.J. Green had played, which they thought he might have helped out Ryan Finley a little bit. I think, the fundamentals point mostly to Baltimore, but there is that Baltimore secondary that can be attacked, and Cincinnati's not bad throwing the football. Maybe 10.5 is a little bit too much here. Don't know that I'm willing because I don't know how Finley's going to, perform against this type of team. I'm sure that there's going to be some stuff thrown at him from a defensive perspective that he hasn't seen before. So I have to be careful with the ball. Like I say, tough game to gauge here because Baltimore's more than capable. Technicals say it should be Cincinnati. I'm not sure which way to go there.
Next game up, Robbie, we got 263, 264. Carolina at Green Bay. 47 the total. Packers laying 5 in Lambeau.
Yeah, I like it over, Drew, for a lot of reasons. I was surprised that the game was bet down. And we see some stray 46.5s for those that are watching or listening to the podcast. If you can catch one of these 46.5s that are out there, then by all means, 47 is as key a number as you can get when it comes to totals in football. So those 46.5s are probably based on, a little bit of Christian McCaffrey not practicing as much this week, but Christian McCaffrey quoted just today as saying, I'm perfectly fine. This is something we've done through the practice week, the last couple of weeks to keep him fresh. And the deal with this game in particular, or any game that involves Carolina, is you have to stop Christian McCaffrey if you're going to stop the Carolina offense. Now, the only team that has actually, there's been a couple of teams. Tampa Bay stopped McCaffrey twice. but they didn't have a pass defense or a pass rush to be able to sweep Carolina. They won barely the first time. They lost the second time in London pretty big. San Francisco was able to stop McCaffrey, put the bullseye on his chest. They stopped him, and they do have the pass rush, and they did have the secondary to make Kyle Allen uncomfortable, and they blew Carolina out. Green Bay doesn't possess those weapons. I've been asked about this game a lot this week, Drew, and I'll be consistent in what I've said. When we watch Green Bay, the national announcers try to make us believe that this defense and these acquisitions that were made in the offseason have been so helpful to the Packers, but yet you don't see it with your eyes. And then when you go to the statistical lines, you don't see it in the stats either. They're not very good against the run. 6 of 9 opponents so far have rushed for 122 yards or better against Green Bay. 6 of 9 opponents have run for 4.2 a carry or better against Green Bay, and that includes 5 of their last 6 games. So you would expect Christian McCaffrey to have a pretty good game running the football here. The pass defense of the Green Bay Packers has allowed at least 243 yards passing or more in the last 5 weeks. So you start putting all that together and you realize that Green Bay has a pass rush at times that can be problematic for teams, and Carolina has allowed some sacks. But if they protect here, and if Christian McCaffrey gets going even a little bit, Kyle Allen will get comfortable in this game. It's a bounce-back week for the Packers, certainly on offense. I mean, could they have been any worse than the 194 yards they put up against the Chargers last week? I'd expect a big bounce-back out of Green Bay. Second week with Devontae Adams once again. Carolina's a little shaky on defense to begin with outside of quarterback pressure. And I don't know, how much quarterback pressure really affects Aaron Rodgers. We've seen it over the years. He gets rid of it as quick as anybody. So I think both of these teams have a lot of advantages where offense is concerned. There's some cold weather. I mean, if you believe in cold weather, which I don't, it's going to be 26 when the game starts, and it'll be about 20 when the game ends. Green Bay's used to it. Carolina will perform fine, in my estimation. There's some big secondary injuries here, Drew, including Jair Alexander, cornerback from LSU, just added to the injury list today for the Packers. Tacked on to starting safety Adrian Amos. Lots of reasons why you should like over in this game. I do. And like I say, if you can get the 46.5, go get the best of the number. It's out there in places.
Robbie, let's head to the NFC North next. We got Detroit at Chicago. Bears laying 2.5 in Soldier Field. 41.5 the total.
Probably a last gasp game for both of these as far as playoff contention or staying alive in playoff contention is concerned, Drew. So I think you get, on top of it being a divisional game, you're going to get a huge effort out of both of these teams. Neither one can run it, so they're going to have to throw it. And in that case, you trust Matthew Stafford far more than you trust what you see out of the Bears passing game. I think it's that simple. The Lions secondary is a nightmare, but can Mitch Trubisky capitalize on it? I doubt it. The Lions are throwing for 295 a game. Hey, they find ways to lose ball games. But I just think when push comes to shove in a game that, probably shouldn't attract your money, if you had to bet it, I think you should take the Lions plus the points on the road.
Robbie, we got about 3 games left on the Sunday card. And guys, take advantage of this coupon code here at sportsmemo.com. We got Veno, Veno 69 at checkout for a 7-day all-access package. Normally priced at $119. You can get it for just $69. You can do the math there. Big savings. $50 on the 7-day all-access pass. That will give you all of his NFL, all of his college football. He's got NBA going, college basketball. Don't forget, it started this week. Great time to great sport to bet, in my opinion. The best sport as a sports bettor to have an advantage over the odds makers, just because there's so much to do. So that's getting going. Try to find some winners there. He's also 4-0 in the NBA, 4-0 NBA streak going, and his 5% NFL play is up at sportsmemo.com as well. You can get all of that with his 7-day all access package. Sportsmemo.com coupon code Veno, Veno 69 at checkout. We'll give it to you just for $69, less than $10 a day. Veno 69 at checkout. Sportsmemo.com. We got the afternoon kicks here, Robbie. 1 o'clock Pacific, 4 o'clock Eastern. Miami Dolphins at the Indianapolis Colts. 11 in the hook. That's what the Colts are laying at home. 44 the total, Robbie.
I think most people with this game, Drew, are going to wait on the decision for Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. Got hurt last week in Pittsburgh, but Brian Hoyer came to the rescue and actually played pretty well in Pittsburgh. He goes 17 of 26, 165 yards, 3 touchdowns against a very good Steeler defense. So, if Brissett can't go, perhaps Hoyer is still not that bad of an option for the Colts. You're going to lay 11.5 here at the present time. Jacoby Brissett has practiced or been on the practice field the last 3 days, which might indicate that he'll go. We'll see. It's Miami's third road game in 4 weeks. However, they've been competitive in those road games. Plus 17, cover at Buffalo. Plus 14, cover at Pittsburgh. I like the way Miami's going, and I'd rather just wait to see if Brissett's going to go before I make a play on this game.
Robbie, it is kind of wild to see the Dolphins covering so many games here down the stretch. So, buying low on teams can pay off here in the NFL. We got the LA Rams up next. And interesting enough, I believe McVay saw a stat here. He's 8-1 in the NFL regular season with extra time to prepare. The Rams have extra time to prepare here, and they're having to lay 3.5 or lay 4 on the road here, depending where you're shopping. Mostly 4s. The 3.5s have some juice, seeing -120 at most books on the 3.5s, -4 here for the Rams at other shops. 43.5 being the total. We're talking LA Rams at the Pittsburgh Steelers, Robbie.
Yeah, and I think, from a Rams standpoint, Drew, they understand that on Monday night, either Seattle or San Francisco is going to lose. And in that NFC West, it makes a big deal to the Rams. If they can win this game, they pick up a game on one of those two teams. Very important for them to win here. Probably just as important for the Steelers to win, because in their case, Baltimore is not going to lose to Cincinnati in all likelihood. So they have to stay pace or keep pace with that Baltimore Ravens team. So you got two motivated teams here. I just like the fact that the Rams are so balanced on offense. Still not sold on a Mason Rudolph-led Pittsburgh Steeler offense. The Rams can run it. They can throw it. And I think that defensively led by Aaron Donald, they probably got enough. They have a shutdown corner to take on Juju Smith-Schuster, obviously now. So I don't think that's a problem. To me, we've seen the point spread go up to 4 with the Rams right now. So, excuse me, Drew. So the question would be, do you want to lay more than that field goal? I probably would. I think LA's the better team all around. Defensively, they're good. Offensively, they're more balanced. So even though it's tough in Pittsburgh, I would take the Rams.
All right, looking to take the Rams. I'm with you, Robbie. I think this Rams team, that we got the off the extra time to prepare stat on our side. I love that stat with head coaches, offensive coordinators as well. And Pittsburgh, like you mentioned, with Rudolph at the helm, at Oklahoma State, I loved him, but it seemed like with Gundy, they threw the ball down the field more, plus 20 yards and things of that nature. Pittsburgh, he's more hitting the out routes. He's more hitting the underneath stuff a little bit more. So his completion percentage is high, but they're not doing a lot of damage offensively down the field. So I don't know. It's an interesting handicap overall. LA Rams -4, -3.5 if you can find it. That's the way I would point towards. We got Minnesota at Dallas for the Sunday nighter, Robbie. 48 the total. Cowboys laying 3 with some juice in Jerry's world.
Big game with some big injuries. For the Vikings, Adam Thielen probably doesn't go, which doesn't help on offense. For the Cowboys, Leighton Vander Esch, a question mark, which doesn't help them on defense. So you've got big some possible minuses from each team on different sides of the ball. I think the short work week for the Cowboys hurts here because it's a short work week with travel. The Giants, in what was a divisional game on Monday night, had the Cowboys in a real contest up until about 10 minutes left in that fourth quarter. The Cowboys wind up breaking a couple of big plays, including a defensive return for a touchdown on the game's last play. So I don't know how impressive that win was. To me, Drew, Minnesota's defensive numbers sometimes get a little bit skewed because I think against really good offenses, they tend to underperform. I'd expect the Cowboys to score some points here. The question for me is whether or not Minnesota can match that with Kirk Cousins and only really Stephon Diggs as a deep receiving target here. They're going to have to run the football. Dallas doesn't give up a lot against the run, but without Van Der Esch, maybe they can find a way. I think Dallas probably wins this game close to where the point spread is, but I think more than that, the total here sits at 48. And in what could be a pretty competitive game, it might be a shade too high. I can see something in the vicinity of 24-20, which would put this under the total. And that's probably the way I would lean here, under the 48 points.
Robbie, we got the Monday Nighter up next. Last game on the board for the podcast for the week, actually. And coupon code, guys, remember it, Veno69. That's VENO 69 at checkout for a 7-day all-access package. Every sport, every play releases next 7 days. Under $10 a day using the coupon code Veno69 at checkout. We got the Monday Nighter, Robbie. We can just hit it quickly because Teddy Covers will be on Monday, opening line report, and he'll be able to break it down in full length. But we got 47 being the total, minus 6.5 here. That's the 49ers laying at home.
Yeah, huge game here for both. We're going to see if Russell Wilson can evade the San Francisco team, the defensive pass rush. We're going to see if they can run into the teeth of that run defense. I'm not so sure that they can, Drew. Russell Wilson's probably going to have to bail them out in this game, have one of his better games. I think they'll be ready for it. Tyler Lockett and company, DK Metcalf, they've got the receivers to attack San Francisco, something that hasn't really been done by teams for the most part this season. So I think Seattle's got some opportunity. But Russell Wilson is going to have to make some plays here because San Francisco is going to bring pressure, and San Francisco is going to be good against the run. The other side of the coin is they're going to have to stand up physically against San Francisco's power run game. So I'll let Teddy go ahead and continue from there. But I do see edges for both sides. San Francisco, to me, is a little bit too high priced in this game. As it stands right now, I would play the Seahawks plus the points. But, boy, you can imagine, Drew, it's been a while since San Francisco's been good. It's been a while since that stadium's had a Monday night game where they really are going to be able to be an electric crowd. So all that plays into it. Seattle's not a team that gets intimidated. Like I said, I think for the time being, I would take Seattle plus the points.
He's Robbie Veno. Follow him on Twitter at Rob Veno Sports. He's got his 5% plays hitting at a really high clip here, up over 60% for quite some time here at sportsmemo.com. So those are in college football. He's also got his NBA streak as well, 4-0. College football streak, 54-34, 61% since September 12th. So higher volume there. And guys, you can get all of his plays for the next week for under $10 a day. Veno69 at checkout for a 7-day all-access package. Robbie, anything else you want to throw out before we shut this down?
You know what, Drew? Actually, I came across something that's got nothing to do with the NFL, but everything to do with a big college football game this week. So before we leave, let me just point out, for those who don't know, in the Penn State-Minnesota game, I just found it interesting that the Minnesota Golden Gophers, in their last 6 games, for only 3 quarters of 6 games, 3 of 24 quarters, they've faced a starting quarterback. The other 21 quarters, they've played backup quarterbacks or third-string quarterbacks. It's been an amazing run of luck for the Minnesota defense that they have not had to face starting quarterbacks. Tomorrow against Penn State will actually be the first game where they've seen a starter in almost 2 months. So it'll be interesting to see if the defense is for real or if their numbers are built upon playing so many backup quarterbacks. I love everything about Minnesota on the offensive side, everything about P.J. Fleck, everything they've done to get to be 8-0, but a little concerned that maybe defensively they're not as good as what they look on paper.
Robbie, let me just read that back to you to make sure. 3 quarters this year of facing the opposing team's starting quarterback for the Minnesota defense, correct? Only 3 quarters.
3 quarters in the last 6 games.
In the
first couple of games, but their last 6 games, when you go through it, Drew, either the quarterback was injured and didn't play, or the starter, got injured in the first quarter, and they faced a backup for the next 3. But it's a total of 3 quarters out of 24 in their last 6 games where they actually faced the starting quarterback. which is crazy. Like I say, that's like in baseball facing somebody's fifth starter every single day. It just we'll see. They put up good numbers, and maybe they are as good as the papers they look on paper. But Penn State's gonna be a real test for them tomorrow on the defensive side.
We will see if they row the boat, Robbie, tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern. He's Rob Veno. Check him out at sportsmemo.com. Got his 5% NFL play up as well. Guys, this does it for the podcast. NFL Every Game on the Board. We had Minty Betts up first, her segment, also all the college football Every Game on the Board podcast. We will be back on Monday with the NFL opening line report. Check it out wherever you get your, wherever you consume your podcast. Also, simulcast on YouTube going forward, each and every podcast. So check that out if you like to watch the video feed as well. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Please smash the like button if you can. It does help us out, and have a fun, safe weekend. Best of luck with your bets.